Tonight, the mother of an 8-month-old baby who was almost abducted by a man allegedly suffering from mental illness expresses compassion towards the attacker.
You need to protect yourself, but at the same time, you don't want to hurt somebody who's not able to make critical decisions.
Consultant psychiatrist Dr. Julius Gillard is calling for more responsible reporting of crime perpetrated by persons suffering with mental illness. And the Grosley bus driver who was ambushed by masked bandits near his home in New Village is on his feet and says he's doing better. The details are coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovely and Amy Joseph.
Good evening. It is Thursday, the 14th of February 2019. Welcome to the Hot 7 Nightly News. I'm Lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. The mother of an 8-month-old baby who was almost abducted by a man allegedly suffering from mental illness is expressing compassion, and she's using the celebration of Valentine's Day to call for society to be more compassionate towards each other. Rochelle Gonzalez reports.
A brave mother who, along with her husband and neighbors, were able to subdue an alleged mentally ill man who tried to steal her car with her 8-month-old baby inside, is showing compassion towards her attacker this Valentine's Day. Kimberly Wilson of Agard said she is thankful to her neighbors who sprung into action, helping to protect her child and her property. She described how the matter was handled without anyone getting hurt.
On Monday, my husband foremost was attacked by this guy, only later to find out that he wasn't really normal. So when we tied him up and we realized the situation, no one harmed him, we didn't beat him or anything, because we realized, to hit somebody like that, we would be the criminals really. So we just tied him up, handed him to the police.
Wilson said in the heat of the moment, seeing the man attempting to grab at her child, she went into mother bear mode. However, as a non-violent person, she is glad that he wasn't harmed in the process. She said violence in such situations is not the answer.
I will say the same thing we said to the police officers when we released him to them. He needs to get some help. We don't want any harm to come to him. We are peaceful people, so he was not hurt. But he might interfere with the wrong set of people and get hurt. And I don't think he deserves that. I don't think he really trying to hurt people deliberately. They need to give him some sort of help, medication, whatever it is, time to heal in some institution where he is no longer a danger to society or to himself. Because what he's doing really is going to get himself hurt. Like I said, he might interfere with the wrong person.
The caring mother went on to use the month of love as an opportunity to ask St. Lucians as a collective to treat each other better. She said while she cannot dictate to people how they should act in similar situations to hers, people should try to use as little violence as possible.
When you realize somebody is not of sound mind, try to detain that person as best as possible with less harm as possible. And I don't even know how to say to get the police, because it was so difficult getting police assistance. But if you detain him that he cannot hurt you or himself, you get some help as best as possible. I guess saying get some help, it just sounds so wrong, because I couldn't get no help. With Valentine's Day, that's my thought. I see a lot of people not wearing red and white like what I'm accustomed to. I think we're losing a lot of love in St. Lucia. And I think it's time for it to come back. Not just Valentine's Day, but just in little things. You see somebody wandering, not knowing where to go. You stop. Excuse me, sir, ma'am, you lost. You need any help? Just the little things we could do. It doesn't have to be giving $100 or whatever. Just little courtesies, a good morning, a smile. We could bring St. Lucia back to what it was, a real true paradise, not just in beauty, but in the people.
Wilson said she is thankful that the situation ended the way it did, especially the fact that her child remained safe. The man in question was released the same day and went on to cause panic at the Camille Henry Memorial School the next day. There, he was arrested and to date remains in police custody. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez.
Meanwhile, consultant psychiatrist Dr. Julius Gillard is calling for responsible reporting of crime perpetrated by people suffering with mental illness. He says the extra focus being placed on the small number of incidents compared to the lesser focus being placed on crimes committed by sane individuals, only serves to cause worse stigmatization of mental illness.
Serious food for thought has been dished out to the masses regarding the way information about crimes perpetrated by persons with mental illness is disseminated. Consultant psychiatrist Dr. Julius Gilliard said the over-sensationalizing of such matters only serves to cause persons suffering from the many different and complex forms of mental illness to be stigmatized more than usual. The issue was presented to Dr. Gilliard following 3 recent incidents involving persons with alleged mental illnesses within the space of 2 weeks.
As far as I know from my experience as a psychiatrist, persons with mental illness do not pose any more threat to the public as a normal person. If a normal quote-unquote person attacks somebody, that happens how many times a day? Does anybody say that persons without mental illness pose a threat to the general public? No. So one person with mental illness one day out of 365 days of the year does something, and then it's blown out of proportion. So we need to be careful, especially how the media is reporting this. So the media is reporting on somebody with mental or alleged to have mental illness being involved in a violent act, and that just worsens the stigma towards persons with mental illness.
Dr. Gilliard explained what one should do if faced with a matter where they have a volatile run-in with an individual suffering from mental illness.
In the case of somebody who is known to have a mental illness, then that person should be taken to the mental wellness center if the person has no physical injuries. So if the person has physical injuries, then that person needs to be taken to the emergency room, and then afterwards they'll be transported to the wellness center. But if it's somebody who has no physical injuries, then they can be brought here. If it's somebody who's not known to have a mental illness, then the police should be called to the scene, and the police should be aware of the protocol when it comes to managing persons like that. I cannot speak to the exact protocol that the police have, but as far as I know, that person is supposed to be transferred to the emergency room where they're supposed to be seen by a doctor there. And if that person is found, if the doctor there finds that person to have symptoms suggesting a mental illness, then they would be sent here for evaluation and treatment if necessary.
The consultant psychiatrist said there is no telling or guessing how different people might handle run-ins with the said individuals. However, he said such situations need to be looked at objectively.
If somebody behaves in a manner that suggests that they have a mental illness, then that person needs to be approached in a different manner. Approaching somebody who is agitated and appears to have a mental illness in an aggressive manner can only escalate the aggression. Okay, so we try things like talking the person down, giving yourself distance from the person. So if in the case of, like you said, the person tried to abduct somebody's child, the child was taken away safely, and then that person should have distanced themselves from the situation to avoid any further escalation of whatever was happening.
With regards to the officers of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, Dr. Gilliard said he cannot speak to their level of training and procedures for handling such matters. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez.
Grosley bus driver Ignatius Jabatis was ambushed by masked bandits near his home in New Village, Castries last month, is on his feet and doing better, although not fully healed. He was distressed to learn about the robbery of one of his counterparts who operates on the Babonneau stand. Back in January, New Village residents were shocked by the sound of gunshots. When the noise cleared, Ignatius Jabatis was found wounded. Jabatis had parked his bus and was taking a path towards his home when masked individuals ambushed him, shot him in the lower part of his body, robbed him, and fled. He says since the shooting, he has been forced to adjust to a life where he's not able to carry out his work duties and sustain his family like he used to.
For my health, it has been a kind of way on me, a kind of way more difficult on me, where I have to maintain my children, send my children to school, and do, my daily things. So everything I do, it's a kind of back upset to me. It's an upset, it's a back love for me.
But you're not on the road, you're not driving
Nah, I'm not yet on the road.
Reacting to news that a Babonneau bus driver was robbed on Tuesday, Jean-Baptiste urged drivers to limit the cash that they keep on their person, but even then, he says they are not guaranteed to be safe.
Now, even though he doesn't have cash, them fellas still want to come and injure you, like I got. You understand? And I guess we have to be more careful about what we're doing and how we go along on our day-to-day basis.
Drivers say the continuous robberies highlight the need to introduce a cashless system in the public transportation sector. The National Council on Public Transportation, NCOPT, is negotiating to ensure the introduction of a cashless system which would make use of a card similar to the one used on subway trains in metropolitan countries. You're watching the Hot 7 Nightly News. Stay with us. After the break, the NWU works towards industrial negotiations and the month of love.